I'm joined today by Republic of Ireland men's under-15s head coach Jason Donohue. Jason, looking back on 2021, how has it been for you?
It's been a challenging year. We really only started in July because with the obviously COVID pandemic, the 2006 age group, which was with Paul, didn't have much contact time for the first 6 months of the year. So the '07 group graduated to me after missing a year out in ETP and the National Academy. So that was quite challenging because from a player ID perspective, we had to start with a lot higher numbers and try to get to as many games as we possibly could as early as possible in the season.
Because we spoke earlier in the year and you said it was going to be a challenging year, and definitely you felt like you've seen that. But is there any particular highlights, from this year, that you've taken from it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The team has evolved. We've played a couple of double headers, I suppose, against Poland and Montenegro. We played a tournament then in Spain. So the team has evolved. There's another 25 players have been capped and representing their country. They're now accustomed to playing international football, which is very, very challenging, obviously. But one of the biggest highlights possibly would be the way the team has embraced the learning that we try to apply in our philosophy in terms of making sure that the player takes responsibility for their ownership as well in terms of their development. So that's been a huge highlight for me that we've evolved throughout the season so far.
It was an 18-month wait for you, wasn't it, from the last time you were coaching a under-15 side to when you were able to take this group of players to Montenegro. Just speaking personally, what was it like to actually be back out on the touchline after such a long period out?
I think we've done a press release on this, how delighted we were to be back, and really to congratulate everybody who helped us to get back onto the pitch. It looks like we're going back down the pandemic route again, where restrictions are going to be in place for us. But so I suppose it's a time to say thank you to everybody who made it happen for us in the first place, anybody who works in the front line. But I mean, for the players to get out and play, to be active again was the most important thing. To get the National League up and running, get the Grassroots League up and running, that was the key. Once they were back playing there, we could really start taking the players in after watching them from our player identification protocols and really start working with them now and blending them back in as an international team. So we were delighted just for football to be back in general, because it was a quiet time in COVID for us. But once we did get back, we hit the ground running with some good games. As I said, it was challenging with the opposition we played. But overall, we're evolving. That's the main thing. And hopefully this group will be ready to progress to Paulo's Arms team by May next year.
Is there a particular performance that stands out for you, which you really felt like the players showed that development or showed something beyond their years despite the challenges?
There would be a couple. The game we were 2-0 down very early against Poland. Poland are a very good team. This year, Poland would say that it's their golden generation team, they think. 2-0 against Poland, down to 10 men after 25 minutes, and the team showed a lot of resilience. I know people will say it's in our DNA in Ireland, but we showed a lot of character, resilience, but a lot of ability as well to be able to be tight and compact and defend out the game and possibly nearly win the second half. And a second game against Mexico. Mexico, really strong team, have 129 million people. Competed against Mexico recently, and the kids' game plan was perfect. They really applied it to the team. That was really, really satisfying performance.
For yourself as a coach, is there any other way that you want to challenge yourself with what you're looking to develop with the players?
Yes, I suppose it just recently, because I'm actually in the middle of a master's and I had to do an exit presentation in terms of leadership and management in the university in Limerick. And one of them was how I build relationships with players. And we were talking about using a case study and how do we get the best out of players. And I suppose for me, it's to make sure that players take some lifelong skills out of our environment that make them better people, but also take ownership that when they're not with us. So, for example, from July to December, we would have had, say, about 18 contact days with teams rather than just assessment days. And with that in mind, it's what the players are going to do away from us in their own work that will help them hopefully improve and be prepared better for international football going forward. So it's really encouraging that they take ownership and autonomy of what they're trying to do and to be better when they're not with us. So any personal improvement goals that we set them, they work on them specifically. And that when we come back, when we sit down and have our one-to-one meetings, that, you know, we're all learning together. So we build that relationship where I trust them, they trust me, and we're all working together to make them better people.
Looking to 2022, what are your hopes? What are your goals for going into next year?
Well, again, it's try to make sure we have the right players coming in. So give the players an opportunity who are playing very well in their clubs. We've got a double header against Wales, which I've just moved back recently to March. So I'm going to look to run a training camp in January where I have the top 40 players in, maybe 30 players. And then hopefully they'll fight for a position for 18 positions, I should say, for the Wales game. So I'm looking to get a player ID back in place, have a look and make sure every players get treated transparently, in fairness. And hopefully then prepare ourselves very well for the double header against Wales in Newport.